So I want to look at this law and crime case right here. Oops.
New disturbing details revealed in the case of Lindsay Clancy, the New England mom accused of strangling her 3 young children to death after a fun afternoon playing in the snow. Lindsay's defense alleges she was suffering postpartum psychosis, but new details revealed by the prosecution could tell a different story. We're hearing from a reporter who was on the scene the day of the murders and what she makes of the arguments ahead. This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Sierra Gillespie. The case of Lindsay Clancy is a true tragedy. A young and beautiful mother knowingly strangles her 3 young children to death in their upscale home, leaving her husband and their father to discover the lifeless bodies. It's a chilling story on so many levels, and the devastating question remains: did Lindsay Clancy have a mental break, or was this cold-blooded murder? Court documents filed just this month are giving new insight into the prosecution's theory that Lindsay Clancy knowingly murdered her young children, allegedly acting with premeditation. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts says they've got enough evidence to prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that theory. And if they do just that, Lindsay Clancy will spend the rest of her life in prison. But Lindsay and her husband Patrick have been steadfast from the start. This was a mental health crisis. Lindsay doesn't deny murdering her children, but she says she wasn't in the right state of mind when it happened. And by now, you've at least heard of this case, but I'll give you a quick recap just in case. Lindsay and Patrick Clancy got married in December 2016. They moved into a beautiful home in Duxbury, Massachusetts, which is a quaint and upscale town on the South Shore. Lindsay worked as a nurse at the renowned Mass Gen Hospital in Boston, and by all accounts was really loving and very dedicated to her patients. But according to multiple reports, Lindsay's demeanor changed after having kids. She reportedly started to develop anxiety and depression, especially after her second and third children. By January 2023, Lindsay and Patrick Clancy share 3 kids. Their oldest daughter, 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old son Dawson, and 8-month-old son Callan. But Lindsay's symptoms had allegedly gotten progressively worse. Her defense team will later say that Lindsay was struggling with bipolar disorder and severe postpartum depression, maybe even the rare postpartum psychosis. She'd even been
I think she had a little bit of bipolar whore.
seen by some of the top mental health experts in the country, spending time
In this case, dipole her.
in McLean Psychiatric Hospital just north of Boston for her struggles with thoughts of self-harm. Her stay there happened in the weeks before the murders, but her mental health treatment started way before that. According to court docs, Lindsay had been on a regimen of up to 13 different psychotropic meds, both to monitor.
So this is what I want to talk about right here. 13 different psychotropic medications. So that's for the mind and things like that. That's not for like inflammation. Listen to this.
North of Boston for her struggles with thoughts of self harm. Her stay there happened in the weeks before the murders, but her mental health treatment started way before that. According to court docs, Lindsay had been on a regimen of up to 13 different
13 different medications is crazy. Absolutely insane.
psychotropic.
So we're looking at this woman from the Massachusetts area who deleted her 3 kids and tried to delete herself by like taking pills, wounding herself, and then jumping out of like a second story window. And she's still alive. She's like kind of paralyzed now, but they're saying they think that was actually premeditated. So like she's cooked. She's already going to be in jail and everything like that. But the case, they're trying to make a case because of course they're trying to say like, well, this was postpartum depression. She just went crazy, and they're starting to say like, no, like you had to like be paying attention to do these things in a certain order and everything like that. And also I believe this, I don't know if it was this one. There was another one from the same area who did something similar. And it turns out she was stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars at work and was about to get caught and stuff. But the selfishness to delete 3 kids and yourself and send the husband out, like to do it. So this is just going to show how sinister some of these people can be. It's sinister.
Wait, Snowball, she tried to set the husband up?
No, she sent the husband to go get like some Chinese food or something like 45 minutes away, and then they had to come back to like that whole mess. Because he obviously would have stopped it.
Yeah.
They were married. They weren't in a divorce or anything either. She'll go over it briefly, but it's if she basically why I kind of want to go over this is for number one, the drug related part of it, the prescription drug related part. And then I was watching a little bit more of the video, and she's like, her excuse is like, I don't know, like a demon came over me and I couldn't remember what I was doing and stuff like that. So I was like, well, that's why we can't trust you. Like that makes it actually worse. So you'll see what I'm talking about. But 13 different types of SSRIs. Imagine if she has 2 drinks. That's gonna be like, maybe that's what she did. So the whole time, and a lot of people were coming to defense of this mother too, was part of it. And it's like, she's a monster.
When I was in college, I was dating this chick, and and that relationship was a nightmare. And one of the things that I vividly remember, I jokingly say, I saw the Prozac on the nightstand the night I was in her bed, and I didn't know what Prozac was at that time. And but now that I know, it's like now when I see crazy, I cross the street, check medicine cabinets. It is not my job to heal someone's heart and mind, especially when I didn't break them.
Yeah, exactly.
Meds, both to monitor her mood and her sleep. Her husband Patrick would later file a lot.
She'll fill us in on the basic details, but this is like, so a lot of times too with these women, we always assume, society always assumes the women are more the innocent, they're more kind, they're more loving, they could never be sinister in every way. And then we end up finding out that they really can be sometimes. And I think these SSRI drugs and everything are a big part of it. I think that actually made her worse.
Lawsuit against doctors, claiming this large amount of drugs actually hurt her more than it helped, and in fact altered her mental state. So Patrick had been so worried about Lindsay, her concern.
Because a lot of these things too, like every time there's someone who goes in and shoots, brings a firearm into schools and does things like that, they're always on these drugs every single time, almost like no matter what. So I think sometimes these type of drugs kind of dull you to reality, and then you don't actually realize maybe what you're doing. So maybe she didn't really have control over herself.
Journal entries. He hardly left her home alone. Either he would stay with her and the kids, or a family member.
Again, they had a pretty good marriage, decent money and stuff. She had real. I don't know why she would go and do something like this.
Would actually come and do the same. But that's not what happened the day of the murders, January 24th, 2023. That morning, the Clancy's oldest daughter, Cora, was having some stomach issues, so Lindsay took her to the doctor for an appointment. When she got back, Lindsay and the kids played outside in the snow, even building a snowman. Around 4 p.m., Lindsay Googled the 3V restaurant in Plymouth, and she looked up the driving distance from her home to the restaurant. And this is important because prosecutors will later argue that Lindsay murdered the children with premeditation, making sure that Patrick would be out of the house long enough that she could complete the act without.
Basically, she's already in trouble. She's already cooked, so don't worry about the sentencing. But they're trying to figure out, did she actually plan to do this and she's just saying she's not now, or did she really plan to do this and now she's just saying that she's not? Because if she did plan to do this, it's just like, wow, what a complete monster.
Without any interruption. But according to a lawsuit filed by Lindsay's team, that's not what happened. Yes, she did send Patrick out to get dinner, and yes, she did ask him to run to CVS to pick up something for Cora. But after that, she says she suffered a severe mental break, and this is straight from Lindsay's lawsuit quote. As soon as Patrick left to pick up the food, there was a loud, demanding, repetitious voice. This is your last chance. You have to kill the kids so you can kill yourself. Lindsay's team argues
I think that's bullshit.
She felt a force come over her and started to experience a series of hallucinations. She says she experienced a.
See, yeah, you know how she saw those hallucinations because of this.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living until
vampire.
Dreamlike state where she had no choice but to follow these voices' instructions, and described watching herself carry out the murders. Lindsay described, I lost all control. My body started acting without any control on my part. I was just following commands, all action.
Well, that would still mean you're doing something, dunderhead. I just was following commands, all action. So even if that's true, you still just even incriminated yourself with this bullshit here. They keep defending these women. On all these stories, they don't really just say like she was a monster. Yeah, me and Red Door I think have talked about this case before, or I don't know if I covered it on the show or if we've seen it before. But there's a couple of these cases that are from this area like that. I believe it was premeditated too.
The voice demanded action. Lindsay proceeded to strangle each of her children, uttering, "Go to God, baby." Prosecutors say Lindsay used exercise bands to strangle each one of her children before ingesting a substantial amount of medications, cutting her wrists and neck, and jumping out of a second-story window to land on the frozen ground beneath her. She suffered severe injury.
He's an idiot. So this is another thing, a Tylenol brain. They think if they jump out of like a one-story building, they're going to die. So she just like put herself in a wheelchair afterward. Like, this is going to suck for her. So she's in jail and basically mostly paralyzed. Really? I didn't know that Son of Sam, that was the same circumstances with this. So I do think sometimes there is such thing as demonic possession and stuff. But I kind of think that she's just lying even more. I don't know why.
From the jump and remains permanently paralyzed to this day. And here's where the new details of the case comes in from the filings that were made in just the past couple of days. The Commonwealth has filed a motion to include Patrick Clancy's 911 call at trial. They say shows, quote, deliberate premeditation, extreme atrocity, or cruelty at the hands of Lindsay Clancy. According to the Commonwealth, the 911 recording depicts Patrick,
which means state of Massachusetts, basically,
Clancy running into the home and calling out for his kids before finding the bodies of Cora, Dawson, and Callan in the basement. As police headed into the basement, Mr. Clancy yelled out, "She killed the kids." Prosecutors argue the recording of Patrick calling for help has significant probative evidentiary value to prove Lindsay's alleged premeditation and the extreme atrocity or cruelty of her alleged actions. And a lot of this alleged significant evidence stems from the exercise bands. And I will note once again, Lindsay isn't denying that she did it. This isn't a whodunit case. Lindsay's defense says she did kill her children, but that she was mentally unwell in the process. The prosecution, however, disagrees and says they have proof based on the state the exercise bands were found in. According to the filing, quote, the timing of when he found each.
I mean, if you even just think about it, if you have to do something 3 times, it's going to be premeditated, and just even almost from that. Keyshawn Jones writes in, hey, Snowboard, did you see the White House Freedom 250 UFC fight with Justin Gaethje? One and another UFC fighter said Michelle Obama's a man.
Yeah.
I didn't see that yet.
It was an amazing night. It was literally the best UFC card I've seen probably in the past 2 years. Every single fight was a finish. Not one went to decision. It was an amazing night. And yes, he did say that. And I was like, no, the F he did.
Nice.
It was an amazing night.
Yeah, nice.
Child, and the manner in which they were discovered is probative of how they were killed. Cora Dawson and Callan were each strangled with a separate exercise band, and the band used to strangle each child.
But I will say this one thing that so did they say anybody else say anything, or that was like the craziest thing? How about somebody says something about Epstein, something like that?
Was found around their necks by Mr. Clancy. First responders then found each band lying next to each child when they reached the basement because Mr. Clancy had removed the bands from the necks of Cora, Dawson, and Callan as he found each of them. The spontaneous and excited nature of the 911 call, made prior to any reflective thought, further establishes that the bands were wrapped around each child's neck in a fashion that negates any theory that they were tied or knotted. According to the filing, Patrick later gave.
So you got a nice Christian cross on there after you delete your whole family. Disgusting.
Police and grand jury testimony reporting that the exercise bands around both Cora and Callan's necks had been tied with a knot, almost like a shoelace loop that was easy to remove relatively. However, in the case of Dawson's exercise band, Patrick testified it was tied a lot tighter and he actually had to pull it over Dawson's head. Why is all of this important? Well, the Commonwealth argues that if the exercise bands were knotted, that could mean Lindsay tied them tightly and then just walked away while the children were strangled to death. But if the exercise
I'm sure liberals did not have a fun day yesterday. They probably bitched about that.
Bands were just looped around their necks like shoelace ties, it means that Lindsay would have to manually pull the bands until each of her children strangled to death, which could take multiple minutes to complete. Basically, the prosecution believes the latter, and we can expect them to argue Lindsay choked each of her children methodically, one after the next, strangling them as they fought in a prolonged and physical effort. According to the prosecution, that would show deliberate and extreme cruelty. Now, in the filing, prosecutors also petitioned the court to show jurors the locations in the case, namely the Clancy home, the restaurant where Patrick went to pick up food, and the CVS, just to show how far each of these locations is away from each other. And they also requested a blood spatter expert be allowed to testify, to which the defense actually pushed back. Lindsay's team filed a motion just one day after the Commonwealth, writing, quote, wherefore the defendant requests that this court exclude all bloodstain pattern analysis testimony and or conduct an evidentiary Lanigan hearing before permitting any such testimony, limit any expert testimony to objective observations of physical stains, and prohibit reconstruction opinions regarding positions, movement, intentions, deposit of the substance, or any action of any participant. Even though her trial is just around the corner, there's still a lot of prep work ahead, a lot to go through for attorneys and reporters covering the case. And
Hey,
actually,
Brian.
that's just what our guest is today. It's CBS Boston reporter Christina Rex, who's also an attorney. And Christina, you've been following this case since day one. So thank you for coming on Scandal today and kind of giving us your expertise. And let me ask you about that, going way back to January of 2023. I mean, were you there? Were you covering it the day of the murders?
Yeah, unfortunately I was. And as a reporter, this was probably top 3 like worst crime scenes I've ever been to. I've been a reporter for a decade, so I've been to a lot of crime scenes. And I distinctly remember this one because it was nighttime and the police officers were crying. So that always stuck out to me because I was sent there as kind of like a breaking news situation. We didn't really know what was going on. You know, we were working to learn more information, but then there ended up being a press conference, I remember, like near the scene that night. And when I got there, the officers who were coming out of the house who were investigating were crying. So we
that is so
knew,
messed up.
we being the media, we knew that
Yeah.
something really serious.
Yeah, no, this is, I don't even really know why I'm covering it because I want to see if they, how at one point are they going to say, like, this woman deserves the death penalty or something like that? Because they're still going to be it's almost like they're still going to try to defend her, and she'll talk about this a little bit that's coming up.
That happened inside that house because it was obviously affecting law enforcement. And it was just like the most somber, heartbreaking, like otherworldly, unbelievable crime scene I've ever been sent to.
As you were describing it, I almost got chills on my body just hearing about that, because you and I both know, having worked in this industry, we talk about really, really difficult things. And the police officers, the first responders, see really, devastating things. So we almost have to put up a shell to not really get affected. So when something breaks through that shell and they're just crying, it's a really, really devastating case. And that's what we found based on all of the facts that have come out. But what's interesting to me about this case too is so many people have almost come to Lindsay Clancy's defense, saying, this is a psychosis situation. She had a mental break. What do you make of all of that?
I mean, I think that's going to be the entire crux of her case. I think it surprised a lot of people when she was, charged with premeditated murder for all 3 of her children, because as soon as the details of this situation came out, including the fact that Lindsay Clancy allegedly attempted to take her own life in the same sort of episode, the whole conversation was around postpartum psychosis. And I think that's what a lot of people either assumed or were told had happened. And so I think that's going to end up being the crux of the case. And certainly for Lindsay Clancy's defense team, that's what they're going to want the jury to be focusing on rather than what actually happened.
Yeah, because the defense isn't saying this isn't a whodunit kind of thing. It's not somebody broke in and this happened. They're saying
it's a whore done it. Come on now.
yes, Lindsay did do this, but it was because of her mental health status at the time. I mean, they talk about her journal.
That's not an excuse at this point, guys.
Yeah, because
I'm saying, how they're trying to like bail her out, sort of. If this was a guy, they've not called her a monster or anything. If this was a guy, they would call him a monster and everything. Nobody has like shunned this woman yet. Not one person.
Because no matter, even if the defense is successful, she's still going to jail for the rest of her life, whether it's a regular prison or a mental facility, right?
Yeah. And I think since she's like in a wheelchair now, it's got to be a different facility type anyway. So like, but the way they sensationalize it is just so they can bail her out a little bit. So I have a feeling they're probably going to try to blame it on the man somehow.
Yeah, because here's the thing, because if the genders were reversed,
there would not be any of this.
They would be outside the courthouse with pitchforks and torches.
Exactly. Now they haven't even like given. They're actually probably going to make like a Netflix show out of her saying how great she is.
That were very harrowing. She had actually been placed at McLean, so she was having psychiatric care, multiple different kinds of prescriptions that she was on, kind of all added up to this. And I guess I'm wondering, based on your experience in Massachusetts, what is it like if she's coming forward with this defense that she is not guilty by reason of, mental insanity, the differences between states and like the statutes of what it's called. But basically her defense is saying, I had this psychosis and that's what caused me to commit this crime. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, what you exactly just said is going to be what her defense attempts to prove. Lindsay Clancy is not denying what happened, she's denying why it happened. And that's a complicated and nuanced argument to make in front of a jury. I did cover one other case where a police officer was killed and the defense was not guilty by reason of insanity. And the first trial ended in a mistrial. The second trial nearly had a hung jury. And then,
Yeah, because they had another case like this recently where a woman ran over like a cop backing up, but she got off of it basically. So these two were kind of around the same time. They're a hot case for the area.
ultimately they did convict the man, but it's a complicated and hard defense. And so that's what her defense is going to be trying to prove. Yes, this happened, but it happened because their client was in this state of psychosis. And what they really will need to prove.
And what does that change? Really, kind of nothing.
But
It's
listen to what the woman said. But eventually they did convict the man.
Yep,
It took them 3 times, but eventually they did convict the man.
Yep.
That Lindsay Clancy didn't have the mindset, what's called the mens rea, the criminal intent to do what she did. She didn't, according to her defense, desire to kill her.
So this is another woman's defense thing. Like, well, they never intended to do it. So, but you're still should be held accountable. If I didn't intend to have a tree land on someone's house when I cut it, is the tree still on someone's home? Yes. This is such a woman thing. Well, I didn't intend to do it. Well, but you are responsible for what happened. No one, in this case, they're saying, actually, you did intend to do it as well, you demon.
3 children. They're going to have,
like, if she said she was possessed by a demon or she did it, it's still basically equally as bad. So I don't really know why they're trying to do this, but they like to sensationalize this stuff because it's like a woman doing it. But they won't really, shame her at all.
to prove that mental capacity was lacking at the time that the crime occurred, which
Of course her mental capacity was lacking. She's a woman.
is going to be really complicated. But there are some factors that they have to go off of. Like you said, she did do a stay at McLean. She had been treated in multiple different ways for kind of postpartum issues she was dealing with. And right now, there's actually a civil lawsuit going on where her husband has sued some of her doctors, claiming that she didn't get the care she received, which ultimately led to the death of her children.
Yeah, we talk about that civil
He might do well with those.
lawsuit actually in
And they're on way too many. I don't know how you could be on 13 medications and not have any contraindications with all those medications. It's going to be ridiculous.
Uh-oh. Look at Snowboard using those college educated words.
in this episode because
Hey, I ain't being ignorant.
it's
Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, see, you're more than just a handsome face. But that sounded too gay, so I decided not to
say it. Yeah, you shouldn't have said it. Yeah. Let me just mark it down. 31. Delete this part out.
Thank you.
substantial here. The fact that he's saying, okay, she was going through something. I mean, if you look at all of
See how they're trying to justify it? She was going through something. This was a part of her journey.
the evidence, the things that we've talked about, he's saying she didn't do this with the mens rea, with the intent, with the pre.
And part of why I'm trying to point it out is it's a double standard and everything like that. But if it was men, they would attack it more. The sisterhood, this is a way of the sisterhood protecting itself, kind of, because the minute they start saying anything crazy, that starts to create more equality. So this is like a way feminism is working to just be like, well, let's understand like what she was thinking and stuff like that. It's like, it's kind of a little beyond that at this point. She's basically a monster. Like, I don't know how much more proof that you need. It doesn't really matter if it was intentional or not at this point. The result is pretty much the same.
meditation, she had a break, she had this psychosis. And I'm wondering, just based on your experience in the legal side of things, is that something that will come in the trial?
The civil lawsuit, I think, I don't know is the short answer, but I think there's going to be argument about whether or not it comes in at trial, because it's certainly a gray area. And I think, probably Lindsay Clancy's team will want it included to show that perhaps her husband agrees. We don't know if her husband is going to testify. I would assume, since he's one of the closest people to the situation, he's a witness. I'll assume he'll take the stand and that it could come up as a part of his testimony for sure. But we don't know for certain that will be introduced as a part of the case. But it is really interesting because you mentioned like premeditation versus psychosis. I think that's going to be the crux of the argument. The state is arguing, or in this case, the Commonwealth is arguing that the time that Lindsay Clancy sent her husband away to pick up takeout food was, the perfect enough distance away, that she had made that choice and premeditated that so that he'd be gone long enough for her to do the crime that she had planned in her own head.
So she made him simp, and he came back and his own kids were deleted.
Her team is going to say, no, that was just a place they got takeout all the time. And she kind of snapped, for lack of a better term, once he left.
Okay, there's so many things to consider here. And something you pointed out, whether Patrick is actually going to testify, I'm leaning toward probably yes, given that he obviously knew her very well, is the father of the children, and discovered the bodies. And this is one of the recent filings too, that the Commonwealth has asked that his 911 call be allowed in as evidence to really show, okay, this is what's happening. He comes in, XYZ, kind of the order of events. And in their motion, they talked about something that I think is kind of interesting, talking about the way that the children were found with the ligatures or the exercise bands around their necks. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to keep covering the rest of that. That's kind of negative. Let's change it for a second and
palate cleanser.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about paternity testing. Knowing who the real dad is. Should hospitals get the DNA from everybody involved right away? You're right. There should be a thing like your right to know your real bloodline family. Like I believe that should be. I don't want to call it like a constitutional right, but it's nice to know who your real dad is. Well, you don't have to have, but it would just be good to know the real information about that. Whether who raises you and stuff is different, but we have the technology where we can kind of know that now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be good to know, even just for your own health. You say like, hey, well, this, my biological dad had this type of disease in their bloodline, so now I know to look for it and things like that.
Well, let's look at it from this perspective. One thing that we do know is that when there's paternity doubt and genetic testing is put in play, that a third of those tests end up the man
don't
is
know
not
who
the
dad
father.
Is. Yeah,
he's not the father.
Yeah,
and so now
that's huge.
So now I will give them. They say that you really can't extrapolate that to the general population because those women are not indicative of the general population. I doubt that. But that's another story. But with that being said, yes, we have the technology, and the fact of the matter is, this is something that should be done because think about it: for every man who is raising a child that is not biologically his, is another man being denied the opportunity to raise his child.
Yeah. Well, it's really a threefold loss. It's a loss for the kid. It's a loss for the simp dad, the stepdad, in a sense, because he may say like, well, hey, this isn't even my kid. This isn't right. And they would have a right to be upset about that. And the real dad. So the real dad might not even know he has a kid, and then the stepdad is taking care of the kid that's not even his, and then they find out when the kid's 17 or something, he has to do some type of blood work or something like that.
There's actually
people's lives. There's probably
a fourth.
people. Yeah,
there's a fourth. The taxpayer. because when these things do end up in court, breakup, separation, now we're filing child support, and now the state is ordering paternity tests. Now you're going back and forth to court because paternity and custody are two different things. And a lot of times you got to establish paternity before you establish visitation or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
And think about the millions of dollars that is wasted paying for judges, bailiffs, filing, all this stuff that goes into it, when you can spend $30 at the hospital and eliminate any doubt. So yes, I believe paternity testing should be mandatory in every case, but definitely when it comes to unmarried people, especially when it comes to unmarried people.
Especially.
But even in this day and age, even if you're married, first of all, we need to change the laws on the presumption of paternity, because generally speaking, if a child that is born during a marriage is considered the product of the marriage. We need to change that. We need to change that law. That is outdated, because there are people out here that play, that's a different subject.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We can do it very cheap, very easily. Think about this. They track every other piece of data they can about you. If you talk about golf, you're going to start seeing ads for golf clubs. You see every other piece of data they possibly want, they can get. But this one, they don't really want to take it.
No, because here's the thing. Because people don't realize
that states won't even give it to you and tell you about it.
Well, that's because here's the thing. When it comes to our laws and society, technology, modernity, unfortunately, modernity and laws do not go lock in step. There's a lag. Sometimes that lag is years, often it's decades before laws catch up to current society. And right now, this is a law that we need.
Tennessee has made it a law.
Yeah,
a couple years ago, Tennessee made it a law. And one other, I do want to put a caveat into this law. And this is probably where most of the red tape comes up. Like, that DNA test will go on a file, but it's not like your DNA is sent out to all these different companies and stuff. Like, it still just stays with you two and the hospital, or
so it's not going in the government database.
If you want it to be, I only want it to go to lawyers. That's about it.
So
know what I'm saying? Like, or they could, that you could have a discretion to say, hey, would you, we're going to use this data for other stuff. So that's the only thing that I see the only way that I see why I would be against it, I guess.
Well, think about it.
That's the only reason I would be against it at all.
Well, here's the thing. They do footprints and sometimes fingerprints of babies, in case they get kidnapped or anything along those lines. So this is just an extension of that. But this is important. Every person has the right to know who their parents are, and but also
a human right. Yeah, it should be an ethical thing that we all want, and it should just be that you should just know. You should just know. You could live a lie for years, and it doesn't mean that you can't have a great stepdad. This is not the trash stepdads or anything like that at all. They should still get all the credit and everything, but everybody should know. You should also have sorry to interrupt, but Whiteout put out what should be done if you find out the 304 isn't yours. I mean, if your wife's 304 and a kid isn't yours, they're starting to do it where I think they pay child support to now. Certain states are starting to do things like that. So we should have a punishment for that.
No, because at the end of the day, paternity fraud is still fraud. It's still fraud. And and one of the, and I don't remember it technically because I haven't studied this stuff since college, but one of the tenets of fraud is if the person because the person was deprived of the truth, they more than like they would have made a different decision if they had full disclosure.
Yeah.
And so at least in this case, let's say, and
It's
to answer
also
that
kind of
question,
gatekeeping. It's gatekeeping too,
well,
sort of in a way.
this is this perspective. Let's say I'm dating Shaniqua, and I think I done knocked her up, and now I'm excited to be a father, and we do a paternity test at the hospital because it, mandated it because we were unmarried and it mandated it. And I find out the child is not mine, that she lied to me over the past several months or deceived me or did, a lie by omission.
Yeah.
A lie by omission. Then at least it becomes my choice if I continue to be in this child's life. Or if I decide that, because at the end of the day, I can't, or give the biological father the opportunity that if I do want to stay with her and raise this child as mine, then I don't have the right to deny the paternal father his right to be a part of his child life. But also, even though this is rare, but think about the incidents, and even though it's rare, I've only heard of this a couple of times, but when siblings end up dating each other because they didn't know they shared the same pappy.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff like that.
And
so
now, or cousin.
It's very valuable information, and it's just funny that I can't, like Carlos said, I can't think of an actual the only downside I could think of is if they sold that DNA information to like Bill Gates or some crazy people like that, which they probably will do that anyways.
But women will try to shame you because I listen to some of these arguments. I don't need the government involved, or and if you don't trust me, if you don't believe me, or think that we don't need to be together and everything, like, chick, get over it. At the end of the day,
and you should want it. You should want it for your own kid.
Exactly. But here's the thing. But if you ask them this, and when you hear that argument, this is what I'm curious. Okay, so let's say, okay, no problem. We're not going to require mandatory DNA testing. Okay, are you okay with chicks that are found? Like, would you be, under penalty of perjury and potential paternity fraud? Do you attest that there is no humanly possibility that this child's father, that this child's father could be another man? And so get women to sign an attestation that.
We do like a DUI thing. Oh, if you refuse to blow,
you're
basically cooked anyways, something like that.
Yeah, because if you attest that, look, it is not humanly possible, and I've seen too many episodes of Maury Povich and too many episodes of Paternity Court where chicks have said it's immaculate conception. It is not humanly possible for there to be any other father. You are not the father. What? I don't know how this can be. It's impossible. Bitch, please.
Yeah. It should be a biological right.
Yeah, and the sad thing is,
it's entirely possible too. It's entirely possible.
But no one cares about the tears of men, because I've seen some of these episodes where you have men who are so happy to be a father, and they're so in love with that child, and then to get the rug pulled out from under them. I've seen so many oh yeah, those are real tears.
Yeah, no, and that's what we're trying to prevent here. And the kid will have real tears too. And this is not to go in and ruin relationships and expose people. It's to stop it. It's to make people honest right away.
As a matter of fact, there was one case.
Just honest right away. Clean the slate. Just be it is what it is, because it's healthier, because also the child and the other people are not living a life of lies. When you're lying all the time, it makes you sick unless you're like a sociopath.
Did you see the case where the dude has spent a couple of years in jail because of not paying child support? And like the kid was now like 20 or 19 or pretty much almost a grown man. And he's at paternity court. And this woman is going on, he's a deadbeat. He knows he's the father, stuff like this. And come to find out, he's not the father after he has spent a couple of years in jail because of not paying child support. And then when the judge asked her, because she was saying there's no human possibility, it's only him and stuff like that, she asked him, well, do you know who his father is?
She said yes. Yeah, right away.
And, and she said,
I think I've seen it, yeah.
Yep. And she said, yep, and we're still friends. I'm like, and this dude just broke down. She said, I went to jail. I was in jail for years.
He lived in shame, saying you're a deadbeat, you're a bum.
Yeah.
You can't take care of your kid. And that's part of another reason why this is important. He didn't have that DNA drive as if it was his own kid. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't like his own. I don't have a kid, but I would imagine if you had your own kid that you shot out and it's like your real blood and DNA, you would feel extra motivated to go take care of that kid and stuff. It's your own blood and flesh and everything. With him, I don't think that drive was there because it wasn't there. It was someone else. So, you know what I'm saying? I think I would imagine Math Man has a couple kids. I would imagine that your kids motivate the hell out of you to, without, them saying, Daddy, we need you to provide. They just by its own DNA does it, basically. Here, we can
and I don't know. And like I said, I don't know if you can play it or it could be commentary and stuff. But this is a guy.
Private chat.
Yeah, this guy spent 5 years in prison, and when you watch, I'll tell you the minute mark.
Sure.
And I don't even think that. And
I'll fast forward it. I think I've seen this before. I don't know if I've seen it with I've seen it with a few black guys, but I don't think I've seen it with this one here. So yeah, I'll play this a little longer.
Not trusting the mother.
The fact that you're even willing to have his child and you're going to now question my loyalty to you, like, oh, this pisses me off. Get rid of him.
But the reality simply is the consequences for men are a lot more severe than a bruised ego.
You have more than just a couple days in jail to worry about.
It's so easy for a man to be stuck paying child support for a kid that's not his these days.
Pay the $65,000 to support a child that isn't his.
For 10 years, Mick shelled out more than $100,000 only to find out Lockie wasn't his son.
To around about 100.
It was Unlucky's son.
Yeah.
$40,000.
Want me to pay $64,000 for a child that's not mine?
He had to pay support for another man's children.
So it's also theft, too.
Yeah.
Fraud, theft, deception, lying about it. So one reason they don't want to make this legal yet is because the court is currently getting more in child support kickbacks and stuff, and that little small percent. So basically, like, the judges get a small percentage of these child support cases that goes into their pension, so it pads their pension. So a lot of times right now they're not going to make any laws because they know it's easier to get money from men than women. When if it was equal and they say, oh, well, this is fraternity fraud, now you need to pay him actually what he had to pay you in child support, or you have to pay him a penalty and stuff, they won't get as much money.
Yeah.
So they kind of have to set it up this way.
It's Title IV. That's the law. Long story short, states that have child enforcement
it's not,
agency.
Title 304?
I'm done with you, Snowboard. I'm done with you. just you always suck me in when I'm thinking, yeah, he just is, you always get me. But yeah, the Social Security Act. They literally, if a state gets federal dollars for child enforcement, because and think about this, and this was 1975. So when you think about around that time frame, like the ERISA Act of 1974, the Title IV of Social Security 1975, these were all laws that were designed to quote unquote protect women. Now they use spouse and everything like that to make it general neutral in the language, but these were laws that, let's face it, were designed to protect women. But we've done such an overcorrection that now it penalizes good men because because these laws, because now think about it, you can now be forced to pay child support for even being a stepfather or holding yourself out. You're with a chick and you're helping take care of her children, and and just by saying, hey son, let's go fishing or something like that, because you held yourself out as a parental figure, now you're forced to take care of another man's seed just because you're a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's what these laws don't penalize Tyrone, Pookie, Ray, Nudda. It don't penalize them. No, it penalizes, Keyshawn, Math Man, Brian Tucker, Carlos. Good men. These are who these laws penalize.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let her pay for him. Let her get the man she laid down.
And do you see how that's a hill they're willing to die on? Too, they're like, to hell with this man. If he asks you who this baby is, he ain't no good for you. It's like, you actually should be upset if he didn't ask, in a way, or you know what I mean, or like, what's the problem with that? He should be proud of that and ask it, and you can say, hey, I have a receipt that my wife's not a 304. Isn't this great? Does that actually mean something right now?
Well, it's easier down a hill when someone else is doing the fighting.
Yeah,
exactly. And because these women have weaponized government to fight for them. When you watch these child support cases or these child support cases in court, you see, was it the advocate or I forgot what the AG, the Advocate General,
Attorney General,
going after the dude. And and trying to track down every last dollar where they just gloss over the mom. So
exactly,
it's easy to die on a hill when someone else is doing the fighting and dying.
Yeah, exactly. And women have been doing that this entire time.
He goes free. I never even slept with her. I got a lawsuit when I was young, and she basically just said, that's the money I'm going to get. And she got it.
They don't really care about your condition, your situation, your circumstance. They just want their cash.
If you don't pay your child support, then you can be looking at a felony conviction.
Yep.
I'm getting garnished. I'm getting thrown in jail.
You're basically like a slave to it.
I'm getting felony charges.
You have taken our lives. I felt anger. I felt conned.
For a whole year, you basically just lied to me about the biggest factor of my whole life. Like,
it was suddenly like being hit by a sledgehammer.
And she said, I've been having an affair with a man from work. And she said, I'm pregnant with this child.
Did you consider taking your own life?
Many times.
How many other?
Hear that? Hear that? That's how serious this can be, guys. It's crazy. It's messing with people's legacy. It's messing with people's, dynasty in a way. It's using your kid as a pawn. It's lies on top of lies on top of lies. Because guess what? There might be a thing in a couple years that tests your DNA like no problem. You're going to be going through a toll booth or one of those like train turnbuckle things. You pay the ticket, and they'll like take your DNA. So they're gonna find this DNA. So why don't you just be honest now? That's the main thing. All we're asking for is, it's not really honesty, because we can't take that for their word. So we need to know what's true. So knowing what's true is very important. And like we said, I've seen that other stat too, where about almost 30% of the time the dad can be wrong. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot of grief, resentment. You know, what's better, to know the day that the baby's born and you start off on square one and just know what's true, or to wait 15 years in? So then, you know, everyone's damaged.
I mean,
the only one who's not damaged by it is the woman.
Yeah, aware of who've taken their lives because of this issue of paternity?
Quite a few.
Really?
Yes, boys, mandatory paternity testing. It has become a very controversial issue, since in general, men love it and women hate it.
And she shouldn't have to submit herself to a paternity test.
I will never ever.
And by the way, these chicks all took the shot. They all took the jab. They take a booster, all this other stuff. They get loaded with nug. So it's also a DNA test is not like an invasive thing. And it will be good to have, so you know, like, you know, say like, hey, you know, this baby, you know, his uncle has this condition, so he may have something like it when he's a kid. It really is also a health thing, just a general health thing. It's a big deal. I don't like the idea of giving DNA over to some big government agency or the state. I'm not really doing that, but we need to know. You need to know who your real dad is and stuff, and they should just know that. They should just know it.
Yeah, Snowboarder give his DNA to a B-dub before the government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. But this is how short-sighted these chicks are. You know, look. Look, at the end of the day, this is something where you just do it, and now you can hold it over, and then when you do something jacked up, now you can hold this over his head. Well, this is just like the time you accused me of little Ray not being yours, when use it as ammunition. But no, these chicks who say I will never give them a DNA test or anything along those lines, those are the main ones. You know, what does that play or that say? You know, thou does protest a lot or too much, or thou does protest a lot, something like that. If you're not a slore, if you're not doing anything out there, what's wrong in this day and age, in this society, in this world? You know, unless I jokingly say, the only way I would not request a DNA test is if I'm with a chick and she is 1 month pregnant and she spent the past 2 months every day, 24 hours a day with me. If you turn up 1 month pregnant after being with me for 2 months straight, 24 hours a day, then yeah, I'm fairly confident it's mine.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I don't care if I'm married. I will always get a DNA test.
Yeah. And also, like Mathman is saying too, he's like, also guys, men are under no obligation to sign the birth certificate if paternity is in the question. So like you could also say, hey, I don't want to sign this until I actually know. But the fact that they're not letting you do that is the entrapment. It's entrapment, basically.
Look, exactly, because here's the thing. I've had countless boys. You know, we have this kind of talk that you and I are having, or that we're having with the chat. We have this kind of talk, and then they get there for that birth, and almost all of them sign the test. And I'm just like, dude, what the F? But apparently, being a man and being in a room and watching this paternity, I guess it does something to these dudes where, you know, they feel compelled to sign.
Yeah, but also the nurses want you to sign it so they can do their paperwork, and
And you're probably all emotional.
Go home. Yeah, everyone's emotional.
My
They're
son,
gonna
my
actually
daughter.
say, "How dare you?" If you don't like, which I can kind of understand. So we got to also look at the woman's point and say, I could understand someone being pissed about that. A little bit.
Well, here's the
You
thing.
know what I'm saying? But you should also be having this conversation before this and just say like, hey, no matter what, even if you don't doubt, why not just do it anyways? So it makes it also people who don't doubt need to do it anyways. So people who do doubt, it gets rid of the stigma. Probably in most every other country. I know France doesn't like this. They probably just DNA test the stuff anyways.
Well, see, here's the thing, because there are countries where voluntary DNA test is not allowed. But a lot of those countries where it's not allowed, one of the reasons that I hear is because they have a large amount of paternity fraud, and that these are countries where if the dude find out that chicks are getting deleted, when dudes find out that, like, I think it was Jamaica or this one country found out like all 6 or all several of his kids weren't his.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, like Game of Thrones, head, spike, pikes, wall. Like this dude literally went on the chick. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Math Man put he said I'd be absolutely devastated if one of my boys wasn't biological. Honestly, I'm not sure what I'd do. And that is honest, guys. A lot of people are also stressed to the brink already as it is, trying to feed their kids, take care of everything, pay for gas, just to function in this world is a lot for some people. And then they have that where basically the main result for the man is they're always were taken from. And being taken, having some truth taken from you is a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a it would make so I could see how someone could go to anger and flip a switch, because you just say, well, geez, everything's a lie now. I don't know what to believe. My whole life is a lie. It's a very red pilling moment, and you get red pill rage. So people just say, hey, I'm taking everyone out with me. I don't care anymore.
Well, you always hear me talk about an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just think how easy it is to solve or to make sure that there is no question of paternity day one. There's no question of paternity. This is your son. This is your daughter. There is no effing doubt. 99.9% probability.
Yeah.
That will save so, and because that's the argument that, the argument that, I know one, so I can't which state it was. This one, I can't remember which state it was. This congressman was fighting for a mandatory paternity test, and it would never go to a vote and anything along those lines. But when he changed the argument, he had to change the argument to for every that there are fathers, and he had to get fathers who were denied, like they were denied the right to be a part of their child's life because they did not know, and that other men have raised their children. That was because every false. I can't remember. Right. Every
but also
is a
too,
father
like,
is a father denied.
Yeah. Well, you're also like a fake uncle now. You know what I'm saying? You're not an uncle to someone who's like from your bloodline. It's some little bastard. It's Doug's kid. You know what? It's even that, all the other people who are family. It's just it's based in a lie. It's not a good thing to just be based in a lie, and it doesn't have to be that way.
It's just amazing the mental gymnastics that you have to go through, where when you can literally provide 100% biological certainty that the only way it was able
For
to get to
very
a vote
cheap,
for
very
very cheap,
easy. You're not
because
taking
think about
blood. It's non-invasive. You just hawk two on a Q-tip or whatever, and that's it. You're done.
what how much does it cost? And matter of fact, let me Google this right
It's
now.
probably like
$30-$40,
something like that. Yeah, but that's it's just a good thing to have. You know what I mean? You know, even let's say you're the mom and you are 304. Okay, now you actually know who the dad is, so you can know about health concerns and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you are 304 and you don't care who the dad is. You don't need no man. Well, wouldn't it be nice to know some of the pre-existing conditions and stuff?
So at home paternity test, like $80. Going through like a lab court walk-in clinic, about $200. But once you start getting into court order paternity tests, now it jumps up to $300 to $600.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
So literally, you can get this done at a hospital for under $100 day one.
Yeah.
Or to
and
end
you're at a
up
hospital.
spending.
Guess what? You're already there.
Yeah.
So it's even easier. So just do it. And I'll even throw a bone to Big Brother. You're gonna want the information anyway. So how about you get the cost of getting it for free? So you get it for free, but they're gonna say, hey, we're gonna do weird shit with your DNA because we're gonna try to do that anyway. So you just there's your 40, 80, $200, whatever it is. But you get a piece. In other words, it's this. That could be the most valuable piece of information in 3 to 4 people's life.
You can now get a home DNA test from Walmart for under $10.
Yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Yeah, there's no excuse. And they don't even have to be crazy accurate because you just need to know that basically it's not yours.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. We don't even need to necessarily. I guess for the man, if you're in any doubt, you just need to know that it's not yours, and it's very easy to prove that it's not.
Yeah, because if it's not yours, it will 100% exclude you. 0%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's. I don't see a way why they're not doing this, but if you follow the money, they're doing it because it's easier to extract money from men than women. And we don't have equality. If we had equality here, this is the equivalent to like a financial grape of a man, because you're just bleeding him dry from and his time and everything. It's really egregious. So, and it could also be this too. Now the dad knows, and he says, "You know what? I still am gonna take this as my own son and just go on about that." There'll be a lot of people who probably do that, and that's fine too.
He can take it on, but he can't be the legal father until the legal father gets the opportunity to. Because here's the thing: even if this is just my understanding. Unless there's an adoption, it doesn't erase your financial responsibility. So just because you sign over your parental rights, it doesn't release you from the financial responsibility of a child. And so if you do decide to raise another man's child, then let's make it legal. Let's make it official. Let the biological father be aware. Give him the option if he wants to be a part of the child's life. And if he chooses to not be a part of the child's life, and if you want, then you can go through the process of legally adopting, having him relinquish his parental rights and giving his permission for you to adopt. Let's do this officially.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of it.
I agree. Yeah. And let's give some titles to the responsibilities. Because right now we're just giving the responsibility. It not necessarily. We need to have a title and responsibility, and also have it maybe note on there that like that this guy is taking over for this guy. So that guy should actually. In this case, I actually want that guy to receive the social credit. He's not being a simp. Well, in some ways he is, but he should receive social credit for stepping in if that's what he wants to do. He should receive some. I think there should be like a distinction, because it is that could be another thing that we could play with, having some type of little distinction about that. would be good to know.
But here's the thing: to get something like this instituted, it's going to be an uphill battle because there's too much money involved. Because because here's the thing: if you did
not
make
too
this
much
standard,
red tape, there's too much pink tape.
No, but you're right.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: because at the end of the day,
Well, the only way you can do it is you can incentivize people that it's some new toll that you need to pay. You know, that you that you have to get a DNA test now, but
well,
now there's going to be a filing clerk, like a DNA clerk, and one other thing. So I'll even get 2 bullshit jobs created for this, but the value that this will bring, or which the value is prevention. The prevention that this will bring is massive.
Well, what are your thoughts on this in regards to DNA test? That it's voluntary, but if you don't do it, you will permanently relinquish your ability to get governmental assistance. Like if you refuse to do paternity testing, so we know who the father, because think about it, because in this day and age, if you get public assistance, they will go, if you're a woman and apply for public assistance, they will go after the father for reimbursement. And so if you don't do DNA testing to establish paternity at the hospital, you relinquish your ability to apply for, WIC and
voting,
EBT cards and stuff like that. Well, not the
Hey,
voting.
women, take some ownership here.
But no,
if you're gonna be a hoe, own being a hoe. But that's the thing; it just won't happen. None of this.
No government funding, because here's the thing: one thing they'll never do, and I wish they would, is to do I would love someone to do an analysis to show the cost involved to a court get involved in paternity testing and child support in custody. I would love to see if they could show just how much it costs to establish paternity if it goes through the legal system, compared to the $200 that can be spent at the hospital and have it covered by insurance.
Yeah, there you go. You can bill it. Everyone gets the cut.
But here's another thing.
It's worth it. It's. I don't see a downside to it, and I personally would pay more and think it's okay to pay more and stuff, but you have to have this. And again, it's non-invasive. We're not putting anything into your kid's body. We're just testing it.
It's not like doing an amniothesis or whatever the case may be. No, at the end of the day, and plus through the law of large numbers, if it becomes mandated, then just by the number of paternity tests that they will be doing, it will lower the cost of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can make this stuff no problem and test us. So if they can give you a vaccination for free, they can do this pretty much.
Because this day and age, like I said, in the case that we were discussing earlier, this man spent 5 years in jail. 5 years in jail. And to watch the end of that clip with how it played out, it was effing heartbreaking. And that this person and that this woman had no negative consequences. There were no negative consequences. She still had her son's love. She still, got her child support from him until her child got to majority. And
probably still banged that other guy all the time.
Oh yeah, he was still slanging and banging. And like I said before, and when you watched that dude, like you saw the video, and when you saw how this dude almost
I don't think I've
collapsed,
seen it. We'll actually go check it out.
he was it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. And when you watch his face and his body language when the judge read the paternity cost, well, like I said, these people do not care about male suffering. And here's the thing, and women, and not all women, but a good number of them, because there are no ramifications or repercussions for their poor choices, bad decisions. There's none. That, overwhelmingly, men are forced to pay the price, to pay the bill.
Yeah. And there's no sympathy towards them.
No.
This guy writes in, I found out that in 2020, my dad, who had 3 boys in Illinois, married to my mom, found out he had a hidden family in Missouri, 3 girls and a wife. True story. See, this type of stuff happens a lot. Math Man writes in, he said, I had a guy working for me that had a grandfather like that, 2 families in 2 different states. He did work on the railroad. Yeah.
But something, but that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's yeah. Well,
because
no, but they're just bringing up examples of how people cannot know until you cannot know till you're 50. You could not know till you're 30 something.
Well, that's common. And believe it or not, that was common when Granddad had a whole nother family. And you didn't find out until the funeral. Well, at least it's common. At least it's common in the Black community. That but a lot of these men, they took care of both their families, and often in a lot of those cases, grandmom knew about the other family.
Yeah, exactly. We can watch this. We'll watch the paternity one. I want to watch this for a few more minutes.
Give him a DNA test. You will need to take me to court.
Now, ironically, these same people that are demanding trust are only demanding it in a one-way direction, since not only does the woman always have 100% information on whether or not there could be another man involved, while the man must simply trust.
It is a trust issue. And to me, that's a deeper concern.
This also gets compounded by the fact that if that trust was
they make it go away by getting the test.
Ever broken.
How about you prove him wrong?
I like how he phrased that. The woman literally has 100% information on that she's been getting dick decimated by Chad, Tyrone, Pookie, Ray Ray, and unfortunately, in some of these cases, you got picked because you were the better
provider.
Option.
Yeah.
A man who is now 100% liable to a massive financial burden, and ironically, those same women that want blind trust from men will tell other women to never blindly trust their husbands when it comes to the family finances.
What are some signs that you are the victim of financial abuse? He doesn't give you information about the money.
And not worry if you're going to be okay. So if that's having a bank account that they don't know about, or having money tucked away because it's money you made, that's what you need to do. And it doesn't even have anything to do with
she probably steals it. She probably doesn't even work. Yeah, she probably doesn't even work.
Trusting a man, your peace of mind too, that you have that.
See, funny how that works, huh?
I'll lie about money. And I'll deceive and manipulate you about resources, but I'll be 100% honest on all the dicks I had inside me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Peace of mind when it comes.
Another thing too, this should be like, well, I'm submitting to my husband. This is what he wants. I'll just give it to him. Too, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, are you in this or not? If you're married, it's like, well, are you in this or not? How about you do it for the sake of men and just other stuff like that? Is this really so bad? Why don't you just say be responsible? You say you're responsible for paying your bills and stuff. Okay, well, do this thing too.
As a matter of fact, with the UFC fight, I was doing a viewing party. There was a viewing party that Devil Advocate was hosting, and it was an amazing night. And one of the guys that we were watching the fight with, one of the things that he said that he was so happy about, because he was talking about he's heard me talk in the past about vetting women and being slow to hire, quick to fire, and putting them through their paces. And he now does that. and he actually has a private investigator that he'll pay several $100 to. And the last 2 chicks that he was dating, that he was serious about, pulled up so much stuff that all you can be like, well, I'm so glad I dodged a bullet, because I'm always advocating, dudes, if I don't understand not investing 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 into a chick that you're serious about to vet her before you commit to her. And like you'll step over dollars to pick up nickels. No, it's an investment. And this is where you uncover.
Yeah, you want to buy a house, or you want to buy land without getting it surveyed. You want to buy a house without getting it inspected. You don't buy a car. Sometimes you don't have a mechanic look it over. Other shit like that. And sometimes you need an outside perspective, particularly someone who you don't even know. It's not your friend or anything. And they can say, hey, because they can tell you in a non-biased way. They're like, hey, I'll be honest with you, I didn't actually see her cheating, but I am pretty sure this is going to be in the cards. And you might, and you could just say, hey, well, if you are a professional and this is what you see a lot of if you're pretty good at this pattern identification, it basically says if you get got, it's like, well, you were warned. So why put yourself in that position?
Well, this dude, after he had left, this one chick he was seeing, after he left her house, another dude came and pulled up and ended up spending the night.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And so this will be the chick who be like, yo, Snowboard, don't you trust me? You're calling me a whore.
Please.
That they don't know about, or having money tucked away because it's money you made. That's what you need to do. And it doesn't even have anything to do with trusting a man. Your peace of mind.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it actually does.
So
that's like what the whole thing is.
So trust you, but you don't trust us.
Yeah. And they don't even trust themselves anyways.
No.
That you have that.
See,
and this is why this argument, and when you listen to this train of thought, and gentlemen, that's another way to vet a woman. Pay attention to the influences she has in her life, the podcast she listens to. So she's sitting here watching The View and DVRing those episodes and listening to Call Her Daddy and all that other stuff. Come on. If you give this chick, you deserve what you get. and so these chicks don't hear themselves, the hypocrisy. Snowbird, you still there? You might be muted. Guys, can you still hear me? Snowbird, you there?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. My system froze or if it was you.
No, it was me. And you want to know why they call it the vetting process?
Why?
Because she's a dog.
Why didn't I see that coming? Oh.
Funny how that works, huh? The women need assurances and peace of mind when it comes to money, but when the man wants peace of mind and insurances when it comes to his kids, then he's a piece of shit.
Guys, think of how it's also your legacy. They're like, why can't, and you could also just say too, like, so another thing you should say too is like, well, I'm just gonna end up. So you could also not sign the paper, and I don't even know if you could even just do the maternity test in the hospital yourself. You might be able to bring one to the hospital yourself before you sign it, the cheap Walmart one, and say, hey, I'm gonna test the baby right now. I don't care.
No,
you test it.
The hell with that. No, we're gonna get this done. And in the public open, no, stand 10 effing toes down. Because if she has nothing, if she has nothing to hide, at the end of the day,
woman up. Yeah,
you're going to choose your misplaced sense of pride over my peace of mind. No, before I invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into this child and time, I want to find out now. Because it's a whole lot easier to walk away than you invest. I was watching this one I don't know if it was I don't know, you played the video or something like that. Dude spent a year taking care of this child thinking it's his son, only to find out it wasn't.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's fraud.
But here's the thing. But this is how disingenuous these women talk about protect yourself, protect yourself. Chat. Who overwhelmingly leaves relationships at like a 7 out of 10 clip? Men or women?
Women. Yep.
They're not victims, they're volunteers. They're not victims, they volunteers.
Yeah. But see how the only defense they have is shaming the men for even asking.
Oh, yes.
How dare you want to know about your legacy, simp? That's basically what they're saying. How dare you not trust me, simp?
Was like, I'm absolutely getting a paternity test either way, divorce.
This is the ridiculous.
So you would want to divorce somebody over that? That shows you're not really in it for the long run. Guys, when you get married, it's supposed to be in sickness and in wealth, sickness and in health. If you have money or not, it's supposed to be a commitment before God. So if you're married, it shouldn't be a problem for him to ask for that.
Now, if that chick is married, then I already know her husband is a sucker, because one of the things that one of the many things that I think I do right when I'm dating women is I let them know up front what the terms and conditions are being with me, what's allowable, not allowable. And I have even told women what would get them jacked up by me. And yes, I tell women, I tell them, look, this is going to make me lose my mind and have me put hands on you. And I tell them what will cause me to lose my damn mind. And I can literally, so as you guys always know, I got receipts. And I literally got receipts of me having these conversations. Like, I have it in writing. Like, this will get you jacked up if you play this game.
Yeah.
And one of those conditions is having me raise a child that is not mine. Like, have me believing that this raising a child that, and me thinking that it's mine.
Yep. And it's the ultimate using kids and pawns, kids and men as pawns. It's the only way you could even justify this.
But here's the thing. I have those difficult conversations up front because I want to know how you react, how you respond, but also so you can see. And a chick who says something to me, well, if you ever ask me for a paternity test, if we get married, I'm divorcing you. Well, guess what?
That's all you need to know.
Guess who's not getting married? Guess who's not getting married?
Yeah.
Thanks for the punani. Deuces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The nature of this debate, since the reality simply is these are exactly the same situation, where one party controls all the information and the other party simply wants access to that
Yeah, what happened to being fair, ladies?
information. And you can
What about equality? We should have equal information, right?
argue all day long that asking for that information is a lack of trust, just like you can argue that not willing to give up that information is a sign that you're hiding something. Now, luckily, there are some women who do understand that in today's society, it is completely understandable that men want those assurances for the most important thing in their lives.
How do you know that a child that is birthed by a woman is in fact your child?
I do believe that maybe it should be mandatory, because as women, we would always know that that child is coming from us, right? How do you guarantee?
Another thing too, hey women, it affects you too, because half the time you're also going to have a woman, and that woman should know who her real dad is, and that real daddy is me.
That is that man's child. It's literally just our word.
And then give that man peace of mind, because you know what, with the statistics that have come out and the data that has come out with how many women
Yeah, guys, like that parachute thing, like 30% of the time. So if there's 100 parachutes and it's only going to work 70% of the time, you'd want to gain more clarity on that. You know what I mean? This is the same thing. If they're getting data that's saying 30%, 20%, 15%, 10%, anything that's no matter what percentage it is, that's millions of kids.
And only
what's actually probably, so if we have the United States like 360 million people and it's like 30%, that's a lot of kids.
and
real lot of kids.
And only a disingenuous idiot would take those odds. Like, because that and that's a good analogy. That, you know, would you jump out of an airplane? Would you use a parachute that only had a 30% probability of opening?
Yeah.
Only an idiot would say, duh, yeah, I would. You wouldn't even take you. Here's the thing: you wouldn't even do it the opposite way. That
and to check, and not only that, to check the parachute is like $40 in like 2 minutes of time.
Exactly. Because here's the thing:
it checks all the parachutes too. You just have to check one parachute, and you know that one's good, so you're not worried about the other parachutes. Really.
Exactly. Because here's the thing: even if you told me that there's a 70% probability that it's going to open, I'm still not risking there's 30% chance that it's not. No, I'm still not taking them odds.
Yeah.
And so, look, here's the thing. You know, at the end of the day, can you protect yourself from 100% of risk? No. But this is why we do things like, for example, you guys know that I vet. So I vet, and I look for reasons to eliminate. I'm slow to hire, quick to fire. But on top of that, if I was to, and I'm doing air quotes, if I was to get married and go that route, I'm telling you right now, some of the things that I'm going to be looking for is she's going to have to come from a 2-parent household where the father's still there, traditional gender roles, both parents, grandparents, both grandparents are still married or widowed, traditional, like that. This is someone who grew up with masculine role models and respects male authority. Another thing, low body count. And because once again, you stack those things up, okay, it gives me a higher
bond.
It gives me a higher probability. Another thing that, like I said, and what's the other thing? Like these are things that stack up to where, okay, I'm trying to slowly, exactly,
like that,
avoid all that. These are things, unnatural hair colors, those hoops, tattoos,
crazy debt, perhaps.
Yep, these are things that, okay, maybe alone don't really mean that much, but when you combine all these things together, who I don't know if it was your show or if it was AJ's show. This dude was coming on and he's been married for 2 or 3 decades, and I literally made some statements about his wife, and I made like 2 or 3 assumptions, like 2, 3 or 4 assumptions about his wife, and I was right on all 4.
Nice.
Because success leaves footprints, but guess what? So does failure.
Yeah. Yep.
And this dude came out. I'm the only dude my wife has been with. Her parents are still together. Her grandparents are still together on both of them. And I said the thing, and it was all true. And guess what? 3 decades later, they're still together.
Yeah. It's part of it too. Once they kind of go see that dark side, they're never going to be the same. They're not like they're just for the lack of a better word, tainted.
He's a taint.
It's like they see the world through tainted glasses.
And how many women cheat in general. If I was a man, I would want a paternity test for sure.
See guys, there's still hope. But while the majority of women are shaming men for wanting paternity tests, saying it's a lack of trust, those same women want complete access to your phone.
Wait a second. What was this horrible art they had up here? Hang on a second.
To your phone, and they want to know your location 24/7 for wanting paternity tests, saying it's a
See guys, this is Tylenol brain art. See this? Be kind to everyone and everything with this, like, do you see the Tylenol brain here? What I'm talking about? A diet, I don't care that you have a Diet Coke, but this like Smurf thing. I'm a complete disgrace and I'm deeply offended. So that's great art. It's retarded. This stupid whale thing. This thing, keep it loose. This is Tylenol brain. I don't know if she made it's I don't know, just a little side point.
Lack of trust.
Those are red flags too. You see someone like that, you're like, this is supposed to be like your house and your woman, and this is like the shit you have up here on like a podcast, like set too.
Those same women want complete access to your phone, and they want to know your location 24/7.
I have every passcode to everything of Tyler's. I have his location, all these things.
If your partner will not show you their phone, they're hiding something.
And if your partner does not want to share their location with you, it's because they don't want you to see something. They're doing something suspicious.
If your partner doesn't
And these hoes know.
have anything to hide, they're going to be like, sure, here, use it.
So what is it, ladies? Should husbands and wives simply blindly trust each other, or should both have complete access to all the available information?
The answer is yes and yes. That's the answer to that.
Clearly,
both.
The women only care about full transparency when they are the ones who have to deal with the consequences of not knowing. And on top of that, in this entire debate, there's still one very important factor that's often overlooked, and that is the impact to children when families find out years later that the mother lied about who the real father is.
I find out that he is not my biological father. This obviously was devastating for me. It kick-started panic attacks and...
Yep, see, it will really mess with someone's mental health. I've seen it other times. You end up seeing this too. People who do those 23andMe and those genetic testings and stuff like that, they end up finding stuff out like this, and it really hurts them. I remember I met somebody once, and he was thinking about actually like deleting himself over finding out a whole bunch of stuff like this. He said it really he said it was like the worst thing he found out in his life, and it really messed with him. Again, these things, if people just, I don't know if it's Thomas Jefferson who said this or something like that, but when in doubt, tell the truth, guys, especially on something so major like this. Just tell the truth, own up to it. Don't make your life a lie and everyone else's life a lie around you. It's just not right. But that's how sick some of these women are.
health anxiety.
I felt awkward. I felt ashamed. I felt that I was having an identity crisis. I had abandonment issues. It took me a really, really long time to really understand how messed up I was.
Ouch. Please drop a like on the video if you think that preventing paternity testing only protects the mother's ego and hurts everyone else, and comment down below what you think. By now,
yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's pretty obvious that lying to kids about who their real father is can seriously damage them for the rest of their lives, and it can also lead to a very terrible situation that people aren't even considering or discussing.
I was intimate with my half-brother.
Jesus.
But you didn't know. We didn't know.
Yep.
That's what you were talking about, Seagrip.
Yep.
In the hood and places like that, you get these nug-nugs and Pookies and Ray-Rays going around, shooting up the club, and it's in the same 3-block radius. So what do you think's going to happen?
And,
you know what I mean? That happens all the time.
And we'll hear something funny. And
they ask, is this your kid? They're like, I don't know that shit.
And you know something? I'm gonna share this, but last I heard, I think my biological father. I think there's 7 other kids besides me And so I did know 3 of my sisters and 1 of my brothers from him, and that's because he had them all with the same woman. But there are several other kids out there that I have no clue who they are, what they look like, or their names.
Yeah, so I mean, it also kind of somewhat wrecked your possible connection with them. You probably would have got along pretty good with some of them or something like that. Just who knows? It doesn't mean you have to be like best friends with any of these people or anything, but we have the technology to know. So why not just know?
Look,
it could be one of the best things you ever found out.
Well, the only positive, the only thing that protects me is, this is all in Philadelphia and I'm out here in Texas, but also these chicks would probably be in their 40s now, which means they're too old for me.
Yeah.
So that's what's saving me from potentially piping down one of my sisters.
Yeah. He didn't want to make a Philly cheese mistake.
You're no good.
Oh, my half sister. She was looking pretty good though.
You know the crazy part? Light eyes running our family. So light brown, gray, hazel. So and I'm a sucker for some pretty eyes. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you're right. And because when I was a baby, I actually had green eyes before they turned light brown. Hazel light brown. Oh my god, that is scary.
Yeah, and people might be attracted. They might have good chemistry with these people because they're very alike. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny too because a lot of like types of corn now are like half brother, half sister, and crazy stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know why they do that, but that's I do know why they do it, but it's crazy.
And trust me, there are even far worse cases than this out there. And so we'll dive into a couple of these real-world situations just to show you how quickly things can spiral out of control. However, before we do, let me first clarify that when I talk about mandatory paternity testing, I'm not talking about testing every single child that is born. Since if you and your spouse simply do not want that, then obviously...
No, I think you're going to have to do it. Because when they say you don't want that, that really is going to mean that she's saying to you that you don't want that. And
well, that's why I said
we don't want it. You should almost just have it at this point.
But that's why I said yes, right now the way our laws are,
but that doesn't go. It only goes to one government agency, period, or maybe it doesn't have to go to any government agency. I'm not sure. I don't really like the idea of gathering all this data, but it seems like it's worth it, and it seems like they're gonna get the information down the line anyways.
Oh yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? Like DNA is just DNA. It is what it is, and like it's only gonna become easier to find it. So why not just do it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's why I said we need to change the laws, because right now, the way the laws are, a child born during a marriage is considered a product of the marriage. And so unless they change that to where that presumption is gone, then when it comes to married couples, you can't require paternity testing. It has to be voluntary. But when it comes to unmarried people,
unmarried definitely need it.
Unmarried people, it should be mandatory.
Absolutely.
Government should not be involved and forcing you.
Should it be?
I don't like government being involved in stuff, but all these people women who are going to come out of the woodwork and say we don't like it because of this reason. It's like you all took the jab. Mm-hmm. You all never gave a shit about this in any other area of your life. You probably give your DNA away for $20 million 23andMe and all this other stuff anyways. Like you post your entire life online. You don't care about privacy or any of that. Don't start with me about this. You don't care about it in any other area.
And on top of that, the government's already involved because the overwhelming majority of women in this country get billions of dollars of government funding. So you already got the government involved in your life. So you'll take the money, but you don't want to take the accountability that comes with it. You know, what does it go? Authority without responsibility
It's a painless
slavery.
procedure that doesn't take much time, and it can be like $40. If you're not willing to stake $40 into your future and to prove somebody wrong,
but
you know what I mean?
But here's the thing: we're talking about you're trying to get women or to think about someone other than themselves.
Which is crazy because you would have thought the kid coming out of them was enough to do that, but apparently not.
Because look, didn't we just watch a video of a chick deleting 3 of her kids?
Yeah, that's right. It really is crazy.
Forced should it be?
And then failed at deleting herself.
Yeah. Which would have been better if she was able to do it, but I don't know. That really sucks. She's in for a long time.
Optional. Ooh, there's a lot of slippery slopes when it comes to privacy and your like individual liberty.
Yeah, but you also took the vax and don't care about any of it. You never cared about that anyways when it's important. So now you're starting to care about it, please.
Exactly. However, if any type of legal proceeding is taking place where the father is required to pay child support, facing jail time for refusing to pay child support, or has any other financial liability to the child or the mother, then I say let's first determine if that guy is actually the father.
But fundamentally, I do agree. There has got to be some kind of proof if you are going to indebt a man for 18 years, potentially more. This should be a mandatory thing.
Now, limiting or even banning DNA testing and hiding behind the excuse of supposedly doing it for the family's or child's best interest, like they do in France, is complete nonsense, since finding out the truth through other means much later in life doesn't just damages the family as a whole, but it can also severely mentally fuck up the kid as well.
That the man...
Yeah, guys, if you don't operate from truth or look at things in a square or realistic way, you're operating in lies and just half truths, and it's really bad. You know, you got to know. You know, you have to know. You know, if you can have the opportunity to know who the real dad is, and just be honest about it, it's a huge thing to know, and it should be almost a right to know, especially when we have all this technology to do it. It's completely unethical that these women would not want to do this. Is like, even if they're not cheating, it still almost seems unethical.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
That I thought.
How about this? I bought you the ring. How about you do this test? You know, is that so much to ask?
Was my father? It's not my father.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life has been based on one big ass lie.
And thousands of other lies to withhold the whole scaffolding of lies to hold that up. That's what I'm saying. This is really sinister. It's really, 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 really wrong. It doesn't have to happen. It's really could be the best time to be honest about it would be when the kid is born. So if someone, you know, there's a new change. If someone says, "Oh, this kid's born," and be like, "I am out. I didn't meet this kid." Like, you shouldn't actually hold the kid in your arms as your own unless you actually know, because then you're gonna be like, it probably feels pretty awesome, and then you're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you know, I'm not gonna care."
You become emotionally invested. The guys that I know who signed paternity test at the hospital, it was because I had one of my boys. I'm trying to remember this was years ago, but he was like, he said, you know, it F's with you because you're there and you see this baby being born. And then, you know, and then they put the child in your arms and they're calling you dad and stuff like that. And this child is just so beautiful that it just does something to you.
Very difficult. Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't think we can, you know, just simply dismiss that. Look, we have, I hate to break it to you, but men, we have feelings. You know, I know it's not very manly to say, but look, unless you are a substance abuser, you have feelings, and you know it does something to. I can picture it doing something to you to see something that is half yours being brought in, that you believe to be half yours being brought into this world.
Yeah.
Why are you gay?
I'm done with you, so boy. You were wrong for that one. I'm being all soft and emotional. You were wrong for that one. You were wrong. No way. Why did Doug and PA teach you this shit?
I can't go back, and I cannot change things.
But before we get into that and the more widespread insane paternity cases, I think it's important to highlight just how easily men can be locked in legally for child support, even when DNA testing proves that they are not the father.
Okay, guys, the last and most common and by far what I consider to be the most dangerous scenario where you could be required to pay child support for a kid that's not yours is in the Title 4D child support scenario.
I was right.
Wow, nice.
See, I know a thing or two.
Yep, yeah.
The state is going to file, it's going to be a petition to establish paternity and to establish child support. So in that petition, they are alleging that you, the father, the respondent, are the biological father of the kid or kids that are named in the petition. And if you don't contest that, like immediately, and you're screwed, you're done.
Now, critics and male feminists will say that it's all your fault and that you simply should have addressed this in the early stages when you had the chance.
Can you imagine?
Sounds like he's very insecure. I mean, definitely some.
So these douchebags with these stupid gay ass mustaches, sounds like he's insecure. Even if he is insecure, this is a pretty good thing to be insecure about. And why don't you know what would make me secure? Knowing. How about we secure it with some information here that's cheap and it's freely available. We just have to pay a little bit.
You're screwed. You're done.
Now, critics and male feminists will say that it's all your fault and that you simply should have addressed this in the early stages when you had the chance.
Can you imagine?
This guy is a cuck right here. This is what a good cuck guy looks like.
Sounds like he's very insecure.
Does he?
I mean, definitely something that like.
See how they're shaming you for worrying about your own legacy? They just wanted to know. You know why he says that? Because he's a fucking dog. You see this dog thing here? That's who he is. He's a dog. Watch him try to shame you.
Toxic masculine, like, I need to have progeny to, like, extend my seed type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You idiot. Yeah, that's the thing. Yep. You're pretty much right with that. Wow.
And it's like, what? Just stop being weird.
However,
it's not being weird. So this is that guy's husband of that woman who said she would leave. This guy right here, and he does. I've seen some of their like comedy videos. They are actually pretty kind of funny. But the fact that she just went on a podcast and talked that shit like that in front of him, he's cooked now.
Bro, what these soy clowns
and this is why the West is the way it is, because you have these bulldog rabbit chicks and these beta soy boys that are enacting all this crazy stuff. without even thinking about the ramifications and repercussions. Doing what feels good and feels good and what sounds good, because you think that by agreeing and giving in to these chicks and their crazy demands, that she might touch my pee-pee.
Yeah. Yep. Let's hear them say that again, because that was like basically what they're saying is like don't care about any of the history of civilization in general.
They're shaming. They're trying to shame men for wanting to propagate their DNA into the next generation and to raise a child with their values, their views, and to
see how they called it like a red pill masculine thing. It's like, no, this is beyond red pill, blue pill, or anything. Like, what about the kids' right to know? Just even that alone, right there, should end the argument. Right there.
Can you imagine?
Sounds like he's very insecure. I mean, definitely something that like toxic masculine, like I need to have progeny to like extend my seed type.
Yeah.
It's like,
anyone with these mustaches like that is like a tool. Like this guy's he's a little fascist tool.
Just stop being weird.
However, what these soy clowns conveniently leave out is that many men were never even aware that all of this was going on, since it's very easy for women to scam the system.
Tons of cases where the mom who applied for the benefits puts her home address as the place where dad can be served, and then the process server comes, she accepts service. She says, oh yes, he lives here, she accepts service, right? And it throws it in the fireplace, burns it, throws it away. And dad gets a default, dad gets a child support order.
Never gets a choice. It's entrapment
against him, and dad never knows that any of that happened until he gets pulled over like a year or two later for a suspended driver's license for unpaid child support.
You see? Now it's very easy to tell men to just find a good woman and marry her so that you won't be dealing with all of this. But the reality simply is that the millions of men who had to deal with this all thought that their wives were honest, faithful, and trustworthy until they had their entire world destroyed.
I felt like I lost a lot. You know, I'd lost my wife. I'd lost the dog, our home, my parents-in-law, her family.
Your wife is a dog!
And it felt like they'd just been snatched away, just came crumbling down like a house of cards.
But unfortunately, this is the reality that screws over millions of men around the world, since the problems with paying child support go much deeper than just paying for a kid that isn't yours. They will make your life an absolute hell by first setting a ridiculous child support amount that doesn't even make sense if you're doing proper child cost analysis.
What the other methods do is attribute expenditures to children which are not made out of pocket. It's a fiction.
Once the amount of child support has been set, it is often very difficult to get it lowered when the father is struggling financially, which has bankrupted many men and has even sent them to jail.
Let's take a look at this scenario. What happens if you are forced to overpay child support? You inevitably fall behind. Now there's back child support, called an arrearage. In many cases, arrearages have to be paid with interest, so that's even
of course, small hats get involved.
More money out of your pocket. When you cannot pay your arrearage, guess what? Your driver's license gets suspended. Now, how are you going to get to work? And speaking of work, when those taxes are taken out of your employment check every 2 weeks, you will not get a tax refund at the beginning of the year to get that money back.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
You just get hit from every angle.
Oh, and here's the funny thing about it. Not only aren't you able to get a tax refund, because a lot of these women, they don't work either.
Yeah.
And so, this is diabolical. And now, they're taking away your ability to get a passport. So you can't even say, something, I'm opting out of this. I'm done with these chicks. I'm gonna go find Ling Ling or Marisol.
And you find her and you say this, you're like,
no.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with
No, Snowboard, you're not leaving America.
because now you have that arrearage and you have the interest. So now that the back child support amount has grown and your license has been suspended, a petition for contempt is filed against you in court. Incarceration. This system is supposed to be about supporting the children. But tell me, how is having incarcerated parents in the best interest of the child?
So with the consequences this severe, it is truly insane how easily a man can be trapped into a financial obligation to a child that isn't even his.
And it's also not just the money, it's just like they're harvesting your energy and worrying about it, and like you feel like you're getting taken from the whole time, and they're kind of enslaving you a little bit, basically.
Which begs the question, how do you end up in a position of paying child support for a kid that you can definitively prove is not yours? Well, the problem lies in the current laws and how they are enforced. Because even though some viral clips and videos on social media give the impression that new paternity fraud laws have been implemented,
Yeah, there's only been in a couple, random states. It's not across the board. I think Kentucky did something, and
this is what
Tennessee has
Kentucky
done
did.
something. Yeah.
So what Kentucky did was, now, unless you can prove, and there's documentation of abuse, that when you're divorced, it defaults to 50-50 custody. 50-50 custody is now the norm.
Nice.
And so what ends up happening is, and what they ended up finding was, once they made 50-50 custody mandatory, their divorce rate dropped 30%. They had a 30% drop in divorce. Because go figure, when you don't incentivize women to leave for no reason, they don't go.
Yep.
When you don't, terrorists win. Exactly. When you don't incentivize, because at the end of the day, come on, who's going to turn down? I can take someone's money to support my lifestyle, and then go get dick down, dick decimated, and dick destroyed by Chad, Pookie, Tyrone, and Ray Ray. Oh, hells yeah. Because these women, when we have shown consistently that a good number of women will sacrifice their children and their families for their happiness.
Yeah.
But when you don't incentivize them to look, my approach when it comes to women, my doors and my windows, they have locks, but they're to keep people out, not in. You can leave anytime you want.
Yeah.
You're just not taking my resources with you.
Yep. You know what happens when they leave?
What happens?
Sorry.
Well, look, these bitches do like getting pumped and dumped.
Yeah. And then wear a collar.
They're somewhat misleading to how well
these bitches be in heat.
Yeah.
She gotta have it.
Yeah. Come on, they're not colored, they're collared. Oh man.
they actually protect men, since these laws only apply in a few very specific jurisdictions, and more importantly, they only govern new child support cases where parentage has not yet been established. And this is exactly where the problem.
And like, what are you gonna do? Move to a state that has all this? I mean, I guess you kind of could if you work kind of mobile or remote or something like that. Then you could, but most states don't have this.
Lies for most men.
Number one, a lot of people don't understand the fact that even if they've signed that acknowledgement of paternity, that in and of itself does not give the father legal rights to the children.
Most men who are not married to the mother will simply acknowledge the kid at birth by signing some form of VAP, which is a voluntary acknowledgement of parentage. Now, during this time, you are simply excited about having a kid.
Yeah, that's what C Group and everyone was talking about. And it's true. I'm sure it's absolutely true. It makes sense.
And you're not really thinking about all the consequences of signing that piece of paper. even though you become fully financially responsible for a child, when you sign a VAP in many jurisdictions, you do not get full parental rights over that same child.
No custodial rights are established by being on the birth certificate until a unmarried father goes to juvenile court and asks for visitation or custodial rights.
This is absolute bullshit and something I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah, and that is 100% true. That is 100% true. You can literally be shacked up with a chick, have a kid, and be taking care of her and that kid for years. And then she gets in the heat, has another dog sniffing around and want to go hit them streets and then have you kick rocks. And now you can't even see your child or your kid. You got to go to court, establish paternity.
Oh my God!
So even though you signed that,
so you have to go back and like simp that you're like, I'm really the dad.
Because so a lot of times you still have to go and acknowledge and prove paternity, because a lot of these chicks, what they do is they get vindictive and they doubt that you're not the father when they now gotta give you rights to see the kid. But yeah, you still got to establish paternity just to see your kid. And then what a lot of these chicks do is that then they go back and file for back child support. Wow. And they say that no, it was a gift.
This is a certified hood classic.
No, I'm dead serious. This is what they do. And so you can be taking care of a kid for several years, paying all the bills and everything like that, dropping off clothes and stuff like that. And unless you document it, that this is support. Now, one of my boys did it right. He followed my advice, did it right. And but that's another, I'll say that story for another time. But yeah, they will, and she can claim it was a gift. And I think they can go back like 4 years in back child support. So imagine the judge awards them, $900, and they can get up to around 30% of your salary.
Wow.
And then, so not only so you make and we're talking pre-tax. So, and here's the best part about it. A woman gets child support, and if she files for any type of loan, mortgage, or anything along those lines, child support gets grossed up 15%.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When it goes to her income, if there's 3 years of continuance, they gross up the child support when it comes to filing for, because I used to be a loan originator. So when it comes to filing a mortgage, so the child support counts against the man, but his income, but it grosses up a woman's income.
Wow.
Or the person, let me rephrase that, I want to be gender neutral. The parent that receives the child support.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Oh yeah, it's insane how the system works.
Wow, that is.
So these simps out here. So if you're unmarried, and these unmarried women, and let's face it, those B-dubs that you were playing earlier, talking about, I'm not doing exactly. It's because they're playing with a stacked deck. The cards are in their favor.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just knock one of them up, and then you forget about it, and you're like, yeah. And then you wake up and you get like, you need child support and stuff. You're like, God damn it.
For a long
time. I remember my cousin was dating this nug. He was a hobo. I call him a hobosexual. He's like 6'3", 6'4", basketball in one hand, trash bag full of clothes in the other hand. My cousin was dealing with this dude, and he was doing this other chick, and this other chick had 3 baby daddies, and had the audacity to tell my cousin she can't afford him that she can, because one of her baby daddies was a police officer, another one of her baby daddies was a firefighter, and another one of her baby daddies was a postal employee.
Yeah.
And she was getting child support from all three.
Holy crap! All government shit too.
And what do all those jobs have in common? These are careers, government and careers. These are jobs that when you get in, you pretty much stay till you retire.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So she ain't worried about nothing.
Nope.
Wow. Wow. She's not worried about nothing. But she was just trying. But that other nug basketball guy was like her boy toy, though.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the reality that screws over millions.
And she was the
Look, apparently the dude had gifts where he could be a homosexual. He had gifts.
Yeah.
Millions of men around the world, since this doesn't just apply to the US. The Netherlands, for instance, only changed this ridiculous law as recent as January 1st, 2023. So any guy who signed a VAP in December or November of 2022 is still royally fucked, since the mother can demand child support without
how much hotter the women look too,
letting the father have access to the child. So guys, don't just blindly trust.
Yeah, this woman and this guy are never gonna look at them the same after she said this stupid shit.
And as always, stay safe out there. This was the need for mandatory paternity testing. Please drop a like on the video.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, what do you guys think about that concept? I think they should definitely do it. No, I don't see why more women are on board with this, but it's because they're, because all the stuff we just said, basically. We could do this one too.
They're not incentivized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the
this
second.
Was sad. Yeah, this was just so effing sad.
It looks like we can play the whole thing, I guess. But I think it looks like two of them almost.
Yeah,
Let me go about 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah, and do it at 1.5 times or something like that.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I haven't seen.
I used to watch this B-dub.
You can just click the 1.5 at the bottom.
Yeah. I can.
Either one of them over here.
Yeah. When you click on the settings and it says 1.5, when you click on the settings and do height, and right there it says 1.5.
Yeah.
Here now. I have a daughter due in November. You're the grandpa. I'd like for you to be part of her life too.
I'd advise you to get proof.
Oh.
Let me go back a little bit here.
Oh, that is priceless.
Yeah. He didn't even skip a beat. Oh, look at her face. She's starting to break down. This is an old cigarette smoking 304. She was at the Chinese restaurant one late Friday night, ripping some butts, and took a few hot ones from some guy.
Starboard, what did I just say?
Yeah.
What did I just say? When you have other people fighting your battles, it's easy to be a martyr, and it's easy to be a martyr when someone else is dying on the hill.
Yep.
And they have big daddy government to fight their battles for them. I didn't need you to disrespect me. The prosecutor was doing that for you.
I have pawns do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not doing a DNA test. This is all the guy simply wants.
Live your life and live your selfish life you've lived for the last 20 years.
Well, again, shaming him, calling him selfish. And do you see these two chicks here in the background kind of laughing at him? But I think that they kind of know that this guy also has a point. Look at the humiliation ritual they're putting this guy through. He has to go on TV in front of all these people, get called a piece of trash, a bum ass dad. He just doesn't. He just wants to know how can I calibrate my compass for who I need to provide for here and stuff and whatnot. Making a show out of these people's lives, kind of how sick it is.
For testing. Are we clear on that procedure?
That's the correct
And you were
procedure.
comfortable with that
Absolutely.
procedure? Yes. The lab, because of the sensitivity of
This used to be like really good daytime TV type stuff. So this is where if you're like unemployed and you're getting high, you're like watching this in the morning and stuff, and it's actually like pretty awesome.
Mhm. They can't take accountability for nothing.
Yeah, Jesus.
And
Wow.
but go back and play his reaction. 5 effing years in prison.
Yeah.
I want you to, guys.
Yeah.
I want you to take and Red Door. Please just take a moment and put yourself in this position, in this situation. Just take a moment.
It's crazy. I would maybe delete myself if I had to do 5 years in the can.
Oh, after her first, but go ahead. But just watch just watch his reaction. Put it in soccer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wish he could.
This is nothing I made up.
This is where we're getting caning in the streets. But so she committed fraud against him and sent him for, she won't
Oh, it
have
gets
any.
worse. Ah!
Wow.
Oh, it gets
Wow.
worse. It gets worse, little boy. It gets worse.
Yeah. No, I've seen this before. I just kind of forgot about it, but this is crazy. Seeing how deep it is, it's crazy.
And this chick still has the audacity to be indignant
Yep.
and
Wow.
defiant and rambunctious and
Yeah.
feral.
And I can't believe the guy just went over and like hugged him like that because it was like, like he's also put in a very tough position. And
Oh, it's
now
not-
that
it's not-
kid,
it's not
that
the
kid
son's
also
fault.
is gonna, no, it's not the son's fault. It's her fault. All this shit is her fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Home wrecker. He still doesn't even know who the real dad is.
Exactly. Exactly.
He still
But here's the
doesn't even
thing.
know.
But here's the thing. There's still like, can you imagine that was your mom? The look that I know this. The shoe was on the other foot. I would have lost it.
Yeah.
I probably would have called my mom out of her name.
Yeah, no, I don't know why this 20-year-old kid didn't just like dump hot coffee over his mom's head, basically at that point in the courtroom. But no one will shame this woman. She's not gonna. She actually got everything she pretty much wanted.
Oh yeah, and there's no ramifications or repercussions.
She's already 20, so all the child support's already done and over, and or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, the judge probably said it in the kind chambers. Like I wish they would have showed that part. But yeah, this is one of those cases where, they all need therapy. That boy needs therapy.
Yeah.
He's going to need therapy.
The dad guy does. Like he's been through the ringer.
Because think about it. If anyone in this chat tells me that being falsely incarcerated for 5 years wouldn't F you up, I'm gonna call you a damn lie.
Yeah.
To lose 5 years of your freedom. Look, even though my
well, he knows a little bit about that life.
even because they call it a bid. He did a 5-year bid. So even though my bid was a couple of days, but still, it was still, I was still in jail for 2-3 days. Now, fortunately, I had more money than sense at that time and could afford a lawyer. Yeah. leave my small hat attorney alone. Look, I want to be represented by my people.
Of course, when it comes to that, yeah. But you're really being represented by your other people.
Look, even though it's only an eighth, it was the eighth that mattered. But still, but this is insane. And this is why we need mandatory DNA testing, especially if they're unmarried, because this has impacted his son's life,
and it will
that boy's
impact
life,
them
his life.
ongoing. It will stay impacting them.
Yes.
Going forward, like crazy.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Going forward, it will impact everybody. So this one woman ruined what was lying to all of them, but I don't want to say she kind of ruined that 20-year-old kid's life. This whole life's not ruined, but she messed it up and gave a lot of challenges.
Think about it.
I don't want to say ruined is not the right word here.
Well, think about it. He's believed for 20 years. He's believed for 20 years of his life that this man was his father. And why my daddy not close to me? Why is he closer to my brother? Why do I not get the version of my father that my brother gets?
Yeah, exactly.
How can that not mess with you?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's not his kid, so it's harder for him to sincerely love him like his own kid when it's just kind of not. You know what I mean? Like the DNA is not. It's just not the same. So it really is crazy. It's really very, very sinister. Maybe that woman who deleted her kids, who I was watching at the beginning, maybe that was something that was going to come out. Maybe they were some other guy's kids or something like that, and she was afraid that it was all going to come out, so she decided to just delete herself and everybody. That would be the only sensible thing or not sensible, but that's like the only motive I could think of that would not. I guess it could be a motive. I guess it could be a possible motive,
or it could be that there is evil in this world, and some of these chicks are evil.
Yeah, they definitely are. So, I think I'm gonna call it a night. So I'm not staying up so late doing this. So, Seagrip, do you have is there something that you want to talk about? Because I want to start drilling down on it. I want to do the shows shorter, but I want to cover a topic in depth at first and make a good presentation, and then I can do like police videos and other bullshit like that. But I think that's kind of what I want to start to do is so this one I kind of did the fraternity fraud, but I kind of like half-ass picked it at the end. Is there something that you're interested out or have advice or?
I was going to send you. So I was going to send you the videos. So when we were talking about when we talked about that whole Coolio thing, I really wish we would have had the opportunity to listen to that former warden talk about what life in Florida prison is and why they want these young boys to do life in prison. I really wish we could have played that video, but I was going to shoot you a video. I was going to shoot you the links to Ace's diss track, and then Coolio's diss track, because when you do, there's just such similarities that I think that could be some good content. I don't want to go into too much detail now. We can probably talk offline about it, but I was going to send you those videos because when you think, because this case is just, it hits on so many levels, and I'm not, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, no, we can do it. We can do a deeper look into that one, sure. Because I'm
I'll
open to
shoot you
suggestions. I think the show is a better job. It's easier to make marketable content when we have a topic in mind and kind of stick to that. So then I can clip it. I can clip it into smaller pieces. Because these videos that are long, like lives like this, we do say good things, but you know, I want to try to like learn how to like break it up a little bit more. But we need some good topics. But instead of basically what I'm trying to say, instead of meandering all over the place, looking at the police videos and stuff, which is still as fun. I want to make sure that I actually do some work on actual topic first.
Yeah,
then,
I'll see the video. I'll see
then
those
do that
next.
all the other, hanging out and stuff afterwards. So then I have like, what I'm trying to say is we need to keep bringing value. I want to make
Mhm.
sure that I bring intellectual value, but discussions of some of these things. Instead, not that we're not doing that, but I think it would be a good thing to screw down more, I guess. So because we can bring more value if we're drill down on some topics. So if anyone wants to suggest any, throw some up another time, or hit me up on the Discord, and we can any show idea is an interesting show idea. So I remember I did say I wanted to trash or go over talking about NASA, how I think they kind of are a scam. I don't think SpaceX should be valued at like $2 trillion or whatever that is. So that's another thing too. Like hell no. So those are two. So I want to just make sure that we have some good discussions on stuff like that too. But this paternity one is actually a very productive one. I mean, if they're not willing to do the paternity and submit to the husband and just give this information for the good of the child, it's like well, what you already kind of are bad to begin with. You know what I mean? Especially these people all took the shot and they give their DNA, for all this other DNA stuff. Probably they'll probably give a DNA to know their lineage, but not this one other thing, because it could be wrong. So it's really just women who are gatekeeping. But that's kind of what it is. So anyways, guys, have a good night. Thanks for the involvement in the show and stuff, and we'll have a couple more coming at you this week.
Thanks, Snowboard, for having me. Great show as usual.
Appreciate it. Thanks.